chill day today. We don't have to cook dinner tonight apart from our bread. So I figured it'd be a good time to show you how to make these no-bake trail mix bars. Since we don't have an oven here yet, we're just making like desserts and treats that don't require an oven. So they either have to be baked in the pan on the stovetop or just mixed together and shoved into a pan and cut into bars. So that's the recipe today. And we might get an oven later, like down the road, but for now we don't really need one because we can bake bread on the stovetop and we can make lots of foods without an oven. So I'm not that interested in acquiring an oven right now. But maybe later. Check out how thick this pancake is. And these are the same pancakes from the pancake recipe video, but we used all whole wheat flour for these. I think I like them better that way.
Mm-hmm. Is that a coarse one or is it?
It's 1 cup of coarse whole wheat and 1 cup of fine whole wheat.
I definitely like the taste better with the whole wheat.
Alright, so I'm gonna make those bars now. I really like these bars because they're simple to make. You can just throw everything together. You don't need to bake them. It's a nice little snack or like dessert. I'm already planning out my dessert for after dinner. So first thing you need is a pan. I'm using this square pan. It's like for brownies. This is a good size. It's like 8 by 8, I think, roughly 8 inches by 8 inches. But any pan will work, like a round cake pan will work fine too. It's like parchment paper. Any type of paper will work on the bottom, like wax paper. That'll be fine too because we're not baking these. But this is just what we have. So you'll need 1 cup of dates. You can either use medjool dates or deglet noor, but any date that's like soft and sticky. A cup of nuts. I like using peanuts, but you can use any nuts like almond, walnut, whatever, or a blend of them. About a 1/2 cup of dried cranberries, cherries, apricots, whatever dried fruit you like. 1.5 cup of oats, peanut butter, jam, and then some salt to sprinkle on top at the very end. I prefer to use Maldon salt because it's nice and flaky, but any salt will work fine. So first thing I'm going to do is cut up these dates. If you have a food processor or like high-powered blender, you probably don't need to chop them up like this. You can just throw them in and blend it to make a paste, but we don't have those things, so I'm just going to chop them up real small and soak them in a little bit of boiling water. I think this is roughly a cup in that jar, so I'm just going to use them up because we've had these sitting around for a bit. I don't want it to be too wet. We just want them to get a little soft. That's probably good. So for this recipe, you don't have to toast the oats and nuts, but I like the taste of them toasted, so I'm just going to do that. It only takes a couple of minutes to toast them in the pan. You can either roughly chop them or just put them in the pan as is and just toss them around for a couple minutes until it smells like it's toasted, and then you're done. That's it. So while the pan is preheating, I'm just going to prep our square pan. I'm just going to line it with this parchment paper. And this is just paper so we can burn the scraps. You just want something so when the bars are done, you can lift them out of the pan. There's some burnt pancake bits on that pan. It's totally fine. We're going to do like a cup. There we go. You can also do this in an oven. Put them in a pan and then shuffle them around every once in a while. It smells good. I think toasting brings out the flavor of nuts, so that's why I like to do it. They'll continue to cook too once they're off the pan. So don't leave them in the pan because they'll burn. We want 1.5 cups of oats. I did the peanuts first so then the oils are released from the peanuts and then that'll coat these.
Oh yeah.
And this spatula is made of silicone, so it's perfectly safe to use in the kitchen and at high temperatures. It's not going to leach chemicals into the food if it gets warmed up or anything like that. It's perfectly fine to use. They make like baking molds out of silicone, and they make those like non-stick mats. It's all silicone, so it's totally safe to use. And we've had this thing since, what, 2017?
2017, yeah.
Yeah, when we lived in Zagreb together. The first time for you. My second time.
Yeah.
I always go based on the smell. Like when something's done. And And again, you don't have to toast these. It just comes down to like what you like better, the taste. So I'm just checking on our dates here. They're softening up a lot. So maybe it was a little more than a cup of dates. This looks like more. But this doesn't have to be an exact recipe. Just mix it all together, it'll taste fine. So now we're gonna add peanut butter and jam to the date paste. So I'm gonna just eyeball it and use roughly 1/4 cup of each. And then depending on how wet this mixture is, we'll add a little more. The end of the jar is always like chunkier. I'll just use this jar. I don't feel like opening another one right now. So when it comes to the jam you're using, you really can use any type of jam. We just happen to have this Rakitnik jam, so I'm gonna use that. You can also use like maple syrup, but to me that's like way too sweet. Mix it up. Let me taste it. I would put more peanut butter because I want it to be stronger in peanuts, but we have a bunch of peanuts in the bars, so we'll just try it this way and then see. Now we're just gonna mix everything together. Those are still steaming. That's good though, because it'll help melt this the peanut butter and jam and dates. Oh, this smells good. I can hear your stomach growling. You just want to mix this so everything is coated. Sticky. Oh, I almost forgot the cranberries. We're going to use about 1/2 cup of dried cranberries because we really like those. Or handful. We buy these in bulk too. Very good.
It seems like sticky enough to me.
I feel like it'll do the job. And if you make the bars and they don't stick together when you cut them, then that just means you just add more jam, peanut butter, or dates next time.
Yeah, or eat them or make them have like a granola.
Yeah.
Thing.
That looks good though, it's sticking. So now I'm just gonna put it all into the pan and squish it down. Some other nice additions I think would be like cinnamon, cocoa powder, other types of nuts, maybe some orange zest. And if you don't push this down hard enough, they're not gonna stick, so we're really gonna force it in there. Nice bar. What if this was like serving size 1? Lastly, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of this Maldon salt. I really like Maldon salt because it's nice and flaky. I put salt in all of my desserts because the sweet and salty it tastes really nice having that. Like this isn't going to be super salty, but when you bite into the sweet bar and you get a little piece of the salt on the top, it just makes it taste so much better. And I even do this with cookie recipes. I just put a little bit on top before I put them into the oven. And if you're making something like buttercream for cupcakes or a cake, I always put salt in that too. Or it might just be how your brain perceives the flavor, but it definitely tastes better with a little bit of salt in there. So now I'm just going to put this in the fridge and let it chill, because it's still quite warm from the toasted nuts and oats. And then Kuba will be making bread for dinner again, and we'll just wait for these to chill and then we'll cut them up later. It's the obligatory Aika interlude. Aww.
It's like, I'm a star. I am a star.
Aww. I like how much she likes that toy, and we just got it from that thrift store. That's really the only toy she's attached to. Goes away. That dough is massive. These are definitely more puffy than yesterday's.
Yeah, that's what they were supposed to look like yesterday.
Those look awesome. Yes. Good work. Not to distract from the bar video, but you want to see what these look like. Oh, that looks really good. Whoa. This is so, like, puffy. It's just like the somoon we were getting in Croatia.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Very good.
Check it out. So this is nice and solid, so we can just cut it up into squares and enjoy after our glorious dinner. They're holding together okay? I really like the salt on top. That is really good. The salt makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, that is good.
Perfect dessert. We'll see how long these last us though.
With me, probably not that long.